Let's bring him in. Dr. Joe Congini, Akron Children's Hospital, on board with us this morning. Good morning, Dr. Joe.
Hey, Ray. How have you been?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, too. Thanks.
What do you have for us today?
Well, two things I want to just mention. One is right now we're in the middle of a 3-day. I know we get a lot of coaches, especially people that coach young athletes, youth sports. I have been in the past a part of a program called Play Like a Champion Today, and it is a leadership conference for youth sports for more national CYO. It's done at Notre Dame every year, which you know I'd get a kick out of. That's my alma mater. And this year, though, of course, like everything else, it's virtual, so I'll be doing it from my office tomorrow. But it's a 3-day event. And kind of cool for me, I kind of wish we were all at Notre Dame right now. A couple of the other keynote speakers, a guy by the name of Dick Vitale and his daughter are going to be speaking. She's a tennis coach and instructor. And the guy by the name of Lou Holtz is going to be speaking. But my brother and I are going to be talking about it. Really kind of wiped out my topic for the year medically. We're going to be talking about the effects of COVID on sports over the last 4 months. And my brother has a really good talk planned for that. So anybody who would want to tune in, it would be, you could go to the website, playlikeachampiontoday.org. It's a 3-day conference. We're on the agenda tomorrow. But those are a few of the other people. They have some really big name people. I kind of wish I would get to be in South Bend and see those people. But anyway, for anybody who might be interested, you might want to tune into that. But another thing I wanted to talk about today was I get a chance on a weekly basis to speak with a really smart guy. He's like a soothsayer about sports and all things, really. And his name's Ray Horner. And he told me about a month ago, Joe, are you worried at all about particularly a sport you know so well, baseball? And sure enough, hasn't it come true in our first month back? We've really had a significant rash, Ray, of shoulder and elbow injuries, just almost kind of like I think there was a morning about a month ago you predicted that. And part of the problem of what I'm concerned about, and a couple of brief points I want to make about it today, Ray, is that we're kind of turning baseball from a marathon into a sprint, right? Mm-hmm. And that's happening at the professional level. But even because a part of the season was wiped out, it's even occurring at the lower levels and even at the youth level. Everybody's really anxious to get in as much baseball as they can. And the problem is I don't know that we had enough lead-up time, and I don't know, especially from the standpoint of the arms, if they were ready. And if it's any indication in our office, I'm telling you, we've got twice as many, at least, shoulder and elbow injuries of what we'd normally see this time of year. And so, of course, I'm concerned when they say baseball's going to start July 1st next week at the major league level. And being a fan, I'm concerned about all those great young arms we have that you got to see 100 years ago in February. People like Bieber and Plesac and Savali and Plutko and Carrasco. What are they going to do over a 60-game schedule? And, Tito will worry about that, and they probably were doing, I heard an interview with Plutko, probably were doing some work in between. But I'm really worried at my office about those younger pitchers. And so a few things I would plead to the youth coaches. Number one, I would put the pitch counts this year because of the uniqueness. I would cut them in half, 50% of the pitches, at most 60 to 65%. I wouldn't go over that from the pitch counts that we normally have, number one. Number two, I would really significantly reduce the innings, and I would increase the amount of rest between pitching outings. And so typically we look at, for relievers, at least 2 full days off. We're looking in sports medicine at probably at least 3 days off of pitching. And for starters, we say at least 4 full days off. I'd be looking at least 5 or 6 full days off. Let's really try to save those arms. Why don't we use this year to develop other pitchers? But it really has come to pass what you were talking to me about a couple of weeks ago, you were right, is the shoulders and the elbows are really filling our office, and it pretty quickly within the first few weeks of getting back.
Joe, I would bet with some of the apprehension of these Major League Baseball players in a 60-game sprint season, that if they do develop some soreness and such a month into the season or so, I wouldn't doubt if you're going to see a lot more than normal of these guys just say, I'm going to shut down for the rest of the year and come back in January.
Don't you think, Ray, that they're going to have to stockpile some of the younger pitchers and just be ready to pull them up if need be? Because I think that there's going to be an attrition rate even at the professional level, like you just said. I think there's going to be a dropping off that could be as high as maybe a third of pitchers are going to be tight and sore and problematic. And a guy like Tito and stuff, you can't take a chance on some of these good young arms that the Indians have for the rest of their career. So I think they're going to have to be pulling some of these people, like you say, and I think it's going to be an opportunity for some of the minor league pitchers or the pitchers somewhere in the system to move up and get their opportunity. Well, same thing for our youth pitchers. Why don't we develop some younger pitchers and pitch our kids less? And unfortunately, that hasn't happened yet, but that's my plea this morning is let's save the arms of those young pitchers.
I know with Rocco, and Rocco's playing some travel baseball tournaments this summer, I have certainly noticed most of the coaches in these travel leagues are not going as long as they used to, with the pitch count and everything. They're taking the kids out normally after 2 innings. I've even seen a lot of teams go inning by inning with the kids and limiting them to between 15, 25, 30 pitches and taking them out. And I've liked seeing that, as a matter of fact.
I love seeing that. I love hearing that. It's not exactly what we're hearing in our office. And actually, a couple of my partners came to me today and said, talk about this. See if you can get the word out. Good. Because we're not seeing it everywhere. But I'm glad to hear the Rocco's in a pretty enlightened league where people are realizing this is a very weird year and baseball is not a sprint sport.
And especially with a lot of kids, he's playing in the 18U stuff. A lot of these kids are going on to play college ball next year. You don't want to do any damage to these kids heading into the next phase of their baseball stuff. Joe, as always, my friend, good having you back. Catch up with you next week, and I am going to try to check out that talk. Interested to hear what my buddy Blaze has to say about battling sports with COVID-19.
Yeah, see if you can find that. I think it's going to be really interesting. Thanks, Ray. Have a great week.
You too, my friend. Dr. Joe Congini, Akron Children's Hospital, joining us this morning.